So I saw Short Term 12, which was a big hit at South by, but I saw it at the LAFF, and you and I talked at this party downtown, and I was sort of trying to figure out where the sort of dark, murky side of you comes from. You know, there's something mysterious going on in some of your performances that surprises people, and I think it's one of the reasons why you keep working so hard. You have 42 credits on IMDb.
Really?
And you seem awfully young to have 42
I think a lot of those
credits.
are ADR though. That's not, I don't think it's quite 42, you know? I think there's some in there that we could probably, about half of those we could cross off and we wouldn't miss them.
But you started really young, you know?
Yeah.
How did you come to be 6 years old and want to be an actress at age 6?
I have no idea. It's actually something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, because I've started actually watching all these documentaries. I just watched a documentary on Picasso, watching one on Leonardo da Vinci, and become actually quite interested in that, of the life of the artist and at what time you choose to do that as a profession and why. Because for me, I really don't understand. My parents were chiropractors in Sacramento. I would consider my mom to be a creative person. She's very artistic, but she's not an artist as a profession, or wasn't at the time.
She wasn't pushing you at all?
No. She pushed me to do whatever I wanted to do. She wanted to be a dancer when she was younger, and her parents didn't support her in that. They wanted her to have a sensible profession, and I think that she regrets that she didn't get to live the dream that she wanted. So she was always very encouraging in anything that I wanted to do. But at the time, I was taking ice skating lessons and every type of dance lesson and art lessons, golf. I don't think what else. That might be it. But that's still quite a lot of after-school activities.
So you were an achiever?
Yeah, I was an extreme perfectionist.
We're outside at the Four Seasons.
It gives me anxiety when sirens go by. I just always know, think something terrible is happening. Around that age, I had a little plastic table, and my mom had, markers and crayons up there for me, and she said she would walk in on me, and I would be focused on, drawing something, and then she'd see a pile of crumbled up pieces of paper next to me because it wasn't perfect. And she thought it was so strange at that age. She's like, kids don't care. They draw a thing and they go, "Mom, look!" And I just wasn't like that. I was very, very serious.
Well, I've talked to a number of actors over the years, and it does strike me that the ones who seem to really excel almost push themselves to the edge of obsessiveness.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Is it something you have to sort of wrestle with?
Yeah. It's something that I've had to, as I grow older, become more conscious of, because very similar to even Grace in the film, you see how someone can just kind of lose their mind over this internal dialogue in their head and these expectations and ideas that we think we're supposed to have that are illusions.
One of the cool things about the way the movie is structured is the way that it reveals information as you go. And you start out with this sort of happy, good-looking couple, and they're doing well at their job. They're trying to help a lot of people who are in trouble, and they seem to be doing it really well. But things become clear as you go along, and there's more. She finds out that she's pregnant. So tell me what that does to her.
Well, that becomes, the pregnancy really becomes the fuel, I think, the secret fuel for the entire movie. That is the mycelium of the entire thing. And I think every single scene that you watch in the film is her looking to see if there's a sign in these kids and her boyfriend and anybody as to whether she should do this or should not do this, whether she can do it or cannot. And she becomes very invested in all of these outside things because of this fear that she has inside.
And she begins to question her relationship and how she feels about this man that she really loves as well. Her confidence in what is possible is completely undermined.
I think there's a sense of, I think there's quite a lot of this in the film that a lot of people are wrestling with, which is the feeling of fear of being unlovable.
We all have that.
We all have that, and the interesting thing about the movie is it's about how our reactions come about based upon things that have nothing to do with the actual situation at hand and everything to do with something that's happened previously or the things that are inside our head, our perception, which became such an interesting thing, such an interesting opportunity to explore.
So the screenplay that you were presented, tell me about that, and what struck you about it when you first read it?
Well, the script was just really beautifully written. It was so shocking to me that it was actually dialogue, because it almost seemed like you were reading a transcript of something that had actually happened. I had never read dialogue that was so naturally written, and there were certain things in particular that I was shocked he didn't just take that they were things that I had said. And there was just such a complexity and such a mystery to the whole thing that I was so entranced by and so interested in meeting him and speaking with him about it, and fearful in a way too, because there was such a mystery to it that it needed me to put some meaning to certain things and create certain things, and there was no right or wrong way to do it. It was just Destin's decision to decide who was going to be the one to put the meaning behind it, and I felt very grateful that he would allow me to do that.
It was quite a Sundance for you. You had this, and you also had the Spectacular Now, and you also had Don John's Then Addiction.
Oh, Short Term didn't go to Sundance.
Oh, so I'm just talking about the other two.
Yeah.
Because I was there, and I wasn't at South by. So the two films, both together, must have been, you got a lot of attention. And it must have been kind of scary, to go up and see those unveiled for the first time.
Thank you for saying that, because I don't think, I keep getting a lot of this must be so great. You're like, it's more scary than anything else.
Well, you're exposed. You don't know how it's going to come across.
You're being received by many people, and you're expecting and you're hoping that people will take you in kindly, but you just don't know. I've never experienced this before. I don't really know what's going on at all, and I'm just kind of trying to, I guess,
this is your breakout year, so that's what people, that's what you're uncomfortable with, that idea?
I just don't understand what that really means. I think I'll be able to appreciate those words, I don't know, maybe a year from now, or maybe on my next job or something, but right now it feels very strange, because it's just a lot of feeling, and I don't know what happens. I've been working really hard, and we made this movie, and I really cared a lot about it, and I put a lot into it, and it's so wonderful to be recognized for it. But I didn't do it because I thought anyone would pay attention, because no one's paid attention before. So it's very strange, and this is also part of why I've been watching these documentaries on these artists, and I think that like a painter is a easier way, I think, to understand this concept of the artist is working away in his studio, his or her studio, and then at some point there's some piece that is considered a masterpiece, and people go, oh, this is a great master, and then everyone gets so excited, and suddenly a painting that was $10 is now $100 or $100,000 or $100 million. And how does the artist respond to that? Because it's inspiration is what's driving me, really. But maybe, will my inspiration change? I have no idea. I just don't understand what the response is to it. I guess you just say thank you and you keep moving, but I'm rather confused by the whole thing.
Well, you also are sort of working within a collaborative environment with a group of people, and your part of it is valued, but you're not alone. And especially in the case of something like Don John's, what you intended wasn't necessarily what ended up being perceived.
Right.
You want to tell me about that? We talked about that before.
Oh, well, in Don
That you
John.
were silent in these great scenes that are hilariously funny.
Right, and that I didn't realize that the movie was funny or that I was funny at all. I had no idea, which actually I think adds to the humor of it, is that I had no intention of, I wasn't trying to be funny, I was being sincere in my reaction. It's very shocking and very strange for a perfectionist who takes comfort in the preparation before their first day of school. And I remember every day driving to set having these mild panic attacks, feeling like I hadn't done my work before showing up on set. But I had no lines to learn. The best thing that I could do was actually, in my mind, not look at the scene, so that when we shot it, my reactions were honest. I had no idea what was going on, and I knew how the character was, I knew how she felt about her family, and then you just kind of see what happens.
So compare the direction of someone like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and someone like James Ponsoldt and someone like Destin Cretton.
I'd say they're more similar than dissimilar, actually. Because I'd say, and I'm fascinated by this, and not just in these three that I've worked with, but I'm noticing it more across the board, and perhaps it's always been this way and I'm just new to the club. But in going to these festivals, you spend a lot of time with other filmmakers and other teams. And I've been so mesmerized, so proud and amazed by the sensitivity of the filmmakers that I have met this year. From Ryan Coogler to Joe Swanberg, and then these directors that I did these films with, they all, it makes me so happy when I see all of us at one of these, at South by, everyone's having a beer together and laughing, and most of us have our films coming out on the same day, and we're so excited to see each other's movies. That is so incredible. We're doing independent film, which is it's a strange territory, because we're doing it having no idea what will come of it or if it ever will get seen, but we care about it, and so we put a lot of time into it. And for these filmmakers, it's years of time, and then it becomes this sort of celebration of a job well done for everybody, that hey, you're passionate about something and it is worked out. It was worthwhile. And
A lot of people these days are doing multiple roles. They're writing, they're producing. Someone like Britt Marling, is sort of an interesting figure in this world. Are you interested in expanding your horizons a little bit, working in different areas?
Yeah, I've already started.
There's a short with your sister?
I did a short, yeah. Well, my sister was in it. I did a short with my two girlfriends that got into Sundance and won the jury prize 2 years ago. And then my second short premiered at South by with Short Term 12, which felt great. I think that balance feels really right to me. I like both aspects of it. It takes different muscle and a different way of concentration, and there are times when I want to be completely in control of something and control a story from every angle, and there are other times that I just want to be a guest at the dinner table.
Good. And what else have you got coming up? This is it. You're doing the round.
Well,
there's a Peter Bogdanovich movie?
No, I'm not doing that.
No?
I just did a film. I did a musical in India,
Wow.
which I'm quite excited about. I just came back a couple weeks ago, and
What was that like?
It was incredible. I loved it. I love India, and I loved the whole process of it.
So whose film is this?
His name's Danny Barron. It's his first film that he's directed. He wrote it as well, and it's an original musical with original music. And
Well, you're a musician, so it makes sense that you would want to do that.
yeah, and the dance aspect too is really exciting to me. I think after Short Term, I found you can sometimes feel as a human like this disconnect from your body. Sometimes I just feel like just a mind, and I feel like my hands feel weird and my feet feel very far away from my body, and there was something that was really exciting to me about taking more of an Alan Watts philosophy and singing and dancing along the way, of being more playful in my day-to-day life, and it allowed me the opportunity to, my preparation for that movie was dancing constantly, so I'd cook dinner and dance in the kitchen, and was stretching, and I'm fortunate enough that I have an extremely talented boyfriend who's a fantastic musician, and so the house is always filled with music, and I got to feel comfortable just dancing all the time, and it was so inspiring, and I think that's what I hope that film will bring, you know.
What about more music for you, more singing, and would you do that again, recording and so on?
I would do it in a different way. I mean, different in sound and different in way of going about it.
Do you still write songs?
Oh yeah, I write all the time. It's just another way of expressing or releasing or trying to make sense of what's going on in my brain.
And have they been giving you better options, better scripts? Do you feel like the world is opening up in a good way?
I do. I mean, I do. It gets better. The more work I put into this, the more that comes out of it. It has not been fruitless all the while. It's been a slow progress, but I like it that way.
You're still pretty young.
Yeah.
You're the same age as my daughter.
Oh yeah? Well, there's something, you know, when you've done it since you were 6, it seems like your whole life. It seems like a long time.
Like Jodie Foster.
And you have to go through going from a child to a teen, and then now I'm going into being an adult. Those are thoughts in the head, you know. Those are decisions that are made.
And how do you feel about the big studio options versus the indie options? Because some of the roles for women are not as
Yeah, and that's
good
why
as
you
you'd
don't
want
do
them
those.
to be. Yeah.
But I have no opposition to bigger movies. In fact, I think that bigger movies are in some ways more important because they reach a wider audience. They're highly influential, and that's why I have a lot of apprehension with doing them, or if I were to do them, doing them with very specific messages in mind, which still get made, you know. Not every film that just because it has a big budget is bad. It's just a lot of the times they're bad.
A lot of the time they don't have good roles for women.
Well, yes, but that's because it's, as much as I would love for this world to be all artistic, it's all very financial, and for whatever reason we have this weird, every human being has this incredible fascination that if there is a beautiful woman, we can't not look at it, and so it's a cheap way to catch an eye.
It's true. Especially if they dress you a certain way and
That's exactly right.
put the highest possible heels on you and, and
but
so
the
forth.
thing for me is that
So-
if the
so
idea is to
you're
be...
not wearing high heels today. I'm very proud of
I
you.
never wear heels. I can't do it. I don't know how to walk in them. And my boyfriend hates them too, and I don't need to do that. I'm already tall. I don't need to be taller. The heels aren't even practical. I don't understand them. They're like these thin little things. They're not functional. I'm more interested in function. Function is
sort of
beautiful.
Proud of Shailene Woodley for making that call not to wear makeup in Spectacular Now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't wear makeup either. Well, I wore very little at the prom scene, but and that's why she's my soul sister. We saw each other a couple days ago, and I hadn't seen her in a couple months while I was in India, and we just instantly sobbed. We both really get each other. We're of the rare breed that we want to be actors, but we don't want to be sexy women actors.
A friend of mine went to the Academy screening of Spectacular Now and reported back that Shailene didn't dress up, that she was very casually dressed, you know, no makeup, and she just chatted like a normal girl of a young age, you know, no pretension whatsoever, very humble about her work, and my friend was really impressed. That's part of what you like about her.
Yeah, it's why it's important that it excites me so much that the industry has accepted her and that she has been able to do something like a Divergent, which is also, that's an example of a big movie that has an incredible message to it.
Yes.
There's a way of making things entertaining, and that's kind of like the musical I was doing in India. It's has to do with GMOs. but it's fun and it's musical and there's a way of doing it. Not even short term is light in its way. If we want to really get our message across in a fear-based way, we'll just make documentaries.
The great thing about Short Term 12, when you go into it, is you think that it's a kind of a heavy subject, or it's digging into a lot of people's unhappiness. But in fact, there's something very cathartic and uplifting about it.
I think it's very hopeful. It's
And,
very hopeful.
and
film.
the two of you are so good in it. The one who I love on Newsroom, you're very good, you know. And talk a little bit more about the process of shooting it.
The process. You mean the preparation? Because the shooting was just pretty normal.
Improv versus sticking to the script versus.
There wasn't much improv really at all. I mean, there's specific things like when we play the game, we play Big Booty. That wasn't written in the script.
And you're dealing with a lot of young actors.
They're doing it as scripted, and that's, I think, a real testament to Destin's writing ability and to the kids who are nothing like these characters at all. They are.
I got the light, but I didn't get the sound.
These kids are so incredible because they are lovely. They're so happy and they have fantastic parents. And yet they're able to dive into this and then come right back out of it. It was just an incredible thing to watch, and I learned a lot from them.
Because it must have been a tough slog for you.
It wasn't. I mean, I kind of try and take the philosophy that nothing's really that hard. You just do it. I don't really think that anything needs to be, dragged out or thought about or tortured. It's just one thing and then another thing, and I just don't really think about it as much more than that. And I don't really enjoy feeling sorry for myself. So, it was all fun to me. And I had Destin along with all of the other beautiful people that he had taken along with him as the crew that were so wonderful and lovely and helpful that it wasn't hard. It just takes some communication.
Thank you.